In the darkness of Glasgow, 1857, the skin-cutting wind whispered along the cobbled streets. The city awoke with the breath of industry, factory smoke drifting like a curse. Victorian society, harsh and merciless, divided people with invisible walls of class. A love that crossed those boundaries became a double-edged blade cutting hearts, honor, and entire lives. At the center of this darkness, Madeleine Smith, 21 years old, fragile as morning mist, hiding a flame of passion strong enough to burn everything to ash. A slow candlelit shot flickers like a dying soul. In Blitzwood Square, Madeleine opens a letter beside the window, her heart pounding, passionate. Desire-soaked words from Pierre-Emile Langelier, from the Channel Islands, a warehouse clerk in the dim, grim Franklin Place near the black waters of the River Clyde. They met in secret under the night. Their letters sliced through Victorian class barriers like a blade. Her father, James Smith, discovered them, his voice thunderous with rage. Madeleine knelt, begging Pierre to return the letters' deadly evidence that could destroy her honor forever. Madeleine, born in 1835, came from a wealthy Glasgow architectural family. The city bloomed with tall buildings and gaslit stone streets. James Smith designed grand structure symbols of Scotland's rising upper class. Her mother, Janet Hamilton, taught strict rules. Women must be modest, silent, existing only to adorn the household. Madeleine learned piano, French, ballroom dances. She smiled to conceal her real emotions, writing letters that hid a dangerous intensity. A heart cannot be caged by cold stone walls. Madeleine, with flowing brown hair, deep blue eyes like the Channel Sea, pale skin later improved by her dangerous arsenic habits, forbidden literature, and love unchained from wealth and class. Fate whispered Pierre's name like a sweet curse. Pierre came from Guernsey where raging seas and howling winds carved lonely souls. He left home in 1842 at 16 Taines, chasing opportunity in industrial Scotland, which devoured working-class dreams. At Huggins and Company, selling seeds and fertilizers, he earned little and lived in a cramped room in Franklin Place, choking on coal fumes and chemical stench. Tall, dark-bearded, with soft, French-tinged speech, he stood out in any crowd. An outsider, an immigrant with a murky past Paris. Lost ambitions, a low-born man in a world that valued pedigree. They met in 1855 at a Glasgow society event where upper-class families invited employees as decorative background. Madeleine, 20, danced under glittering chandeliers, her white dress fluttering like a butterfly's wing. Pierre had arrived to deliver goods to the Smiths, standing quietly in a corner, watching her with hungry eyes. A brief smile, a greeting, then his first letter. "I cannot forget those eyes," Pierre wrote with trembling hands. "The sea itself calls me to drown in them." Madeleine read it in her private room, a jolt of electricity through her chest. She replied carefully, "You are a strange wind from a distant sea, freedom I have never known." The secret romance ignited embers that would become wildfire. They exchanged weekly letters, delivered by servants, hidden in boxes, and passed through midnight windows. Madeleine poured out her dreams, suffocated by aristocratic expectations. Pierre answered with burning devotion, describing storms of the Channel, comparing her to violent waves. "You are my sun," he wrote, "and I am the darkness of labor." Their class difference was a chasm. Madeleine lived in a mansion, Pierre in a damp room rising before dawn, hands calloused from sacks of fertilizer. Their forbidden meetings unfolded like scenes from a tragic play. On moonless nights, Madeleine slipped out the back door, cloaked in black. They met by the Clyde, its dark water reflecting dim gas lamps. Pierre held her voice, rough with desire. "You are mine forever." Madeleine kissed him wildly, forgetting Victorian morality and class betrayal. They spoke of Marajan impossible dream, for her father would never accept a laborer. "Let us run away," Pierre whispered. Paris would free us, but darkness crept in. The letters grew bolder. Madeleine's desire, dangerous, scandalous, damning for a Victorian woman. "I burn for you," she wrote. Pierre kept every letter as treasure and leverage. Suspicion rose. Servants whispered about Madeleine writing late at night. James Smith, stern, silver-bearded, sharped. One stormy afternoon he intercepted a letter. His rage erupted. "What have you done, Madeleine?" he roared, the portraits of ancestors seeming to glare with judgment. She fell to her knees, weeping. "Only a friend, father." He forbade the letters, commanded servants to watch her, and arranged a marriage with William Minnica, wealthy, respectable man. Madeleine, devastated, wrote one last plea to Pierre. "Stop, return my letters. Let this die." Pierre, wounded in pride, his greatest vulnerability, his reply crackled with threat. "You think you can leave me? These letters are proof of your sin. I will expose everything." Madeleine's heart clenched in terror. She imagined her ruin, the social death worse than any grave. Night after night, as wind wailed like a grieving spirit, she lay awake, consumed by fear. Tension climbed like a storm swelling over Glasgow. Madeleine secretly bought arsenic at Murdoch's shop on Sochihall Street in February 1857, claiming it was for cosmetic whitening, a common excuse for upper-class women. She mixed it into water, pretending it was only for beauty, while darker thoughts settled like poison in her mind. Pierre fell ill after drinking hot cocoa she had given him during a window meeting. Violent stomach pain seized him. What has she done? He wondered in the night. Their final letters were desperate. "Madeleine, end this. Pierre, return everything. Pierre, never marry me or face disgrace." On Sunday night, March 22nd, he left his lodging, telling Mrs. Jenkins, "I may be late." He carried Madeleine's final letter in his pocket, unaware the night would be his last. And so, fate closed its opening chapter and unlocked a tragedy of darkness. Madeleine, the rebellious aristocrat, Pierre, the striving laborer. Two souls lost in a ruthless society, their love turned weapon. Shadows swallowed everything, leaving one question: was love the poison, or was society the real killer? We return briefly to 1855 Glasgow, at the height of the Industrial Revolution. Steamships lined the Clyde. The world's goods passed through. Opportunity wrapped in injustice. Madeleine, fresh from Mrs. Alan Gordon's academy in London, carried Victorian doctrine. Women should be pure, silent, and await arranged marriages. But Madeleine's spirit burned. She read romance novels in secret, dreaming of a daring lover from stories by Austen and Brontë. Pierre, 29, had wandered through hardship, Paris, failed ambitions, odd jobs. In 1851 he settled in Scotland with modest hopes. Their first encounter at the Smiths' anniversary ball felt accidental. Madeleine dropped her handkerchief. Pierre picked it up, flustered. "Thank you," she whispered. A spark. Pierre did not sleep that night. He wrote, "I, Emile Langelier, who picked up your handkerchief, cannot forget your smile." Letters followed. Innocent at first weather, books, trivial stories. But they deepened quickly. Pierre confessed loneliness. Madeleine confessed suffocation. "I live in a gilded cage," Pierre answered. "Then let me be the key." Their first meeting at Glasgow Green sealed their phaeton impulsive kiss. Beneath ancient oak trees, more secret nights by the Clyde, more passionate letters. More danger when James discovered the letters. His fury shattered everything. He waved them at her, a laborer. "You would ruin us." Madeleine sobbed and swore to end it, but her heart betrayed her. Pierre's threats grew sharper. Madeleine's fear grew colder. Arsenic became her final, desperate thought. Days stretched like tightened violin strings, ready to snap. Madeleine roamed rainy streets, eyes red from crying. Pierre reread her letters obsessively, gripping them like weapons. Mrs. Jenkins noticed his sickly appearance. "Are you unwell, sir?" But Pierre kept his secrets. One night, beneath Madeleine's window, he questioned her love, accused her of noble cruelty. She begged. He demanded marriage. She slammed the window shut. Arsenic. The bell of Murdoch's shop rang like a death toll. Madeleine asked for more poison still, claiming cosmetics. She cleaned her face with it. The cold burn seeped into her soul. Pierre fell sick again, violent cramps, vomiting. He assumed bad food. He wrote, "I am ill. Do you care?" Then came the arranged suitor Minnick, wealthy and proper. Pierre heard through servants and exploded with rage. "If you marry him, I will expose every word you wrote." Madeleine broke. She arranged a final meeting. Pierre brought the letters, but refused to surrender them unless she promised marriage. She wept. He turned away. On March 22nd, he stepped into the night for the last time, and thus ends the prologue to a true Victorian tragedy, where love, poison, class, fear, desire, and fate intertwine like threads of a noose. In the darkness of Glasgow, 1857, the night wind screamed like a mourning soul, carrying a deathly chill that slithered through the cracks of every door. The Clyde River, black as ink, roared beneath the bridge, bearing witness to a love turning into a blade of betrayal. Madeleine Hamilton Smith, a 21-year-old aristocratic girl, lay sleepless in her room on Blithswood Square, her heart tightening each time Pierre Emile Langelier crossed her mind, her one secret lover. Now a looming ghost of threat. A love once sweet had grown wild and furious like a storm, pushing them both toward the cliff edge of death. Listen slowly, as if to a whisper in the midnight air, when fate tightens its merciless noose. Pierre refused to return the letters. In his cramped room on Franklin Place, the flickering candlelight revealed a pale face and eyes glinting with madness. He reread Madeleine's letter. "Stop. Return the letters. Let everything fade into oblivion." His heart shattered. His wounded pride rose like a wild beast. "You think you can discard me so easily," he muttered, clutching the bundle of letters, proof of passionate love, now turned into a weapon. Pierre knew that if the letters came to light, Madeleine's honor would be destroyed, her aristocratic family ruined. He wrote back, his pen sharp as a dagger, "You betrayed me. I will expose everything. You will marry me, more lose everything." The envelope, sealed with blood-red wax, was sent at dawn. Flying across the Clyde like a cursed omen, Madeleine received the letter, her trembling fingers prying open the seal. The threats danced before her eyes like whispering demons. Her father, James Smith, was preparing her engagement to William Minnicka, wealthy business partner, a respectable man, the very image of Victorian propriety. Minnock, 30 years old, smiled politely during the Blithswood tea gathering, holding a delicate porcelain cup. "Miss Smith, it would be an honor if you would accept," he said, his voice smooth as honey. Madeleine nodded mechanically, her heart already frozen. When Pierre heard the news through gossiping servants, fury erupted inside him. He wandered through the rain-soaked streets, tears mixing with the downpour, recalling the past, the nights he held Madeleine beside the river, their breath warm, their vows eternal. Now she chose luxury, leaving him to drown in poverty. The threats escalated. Pierre wrote, relentlessly demanding meetings, demanding marriage. "You belong to me," he growled onto the page, "or I will send your letters to your father, to the newspapers. I will ruin you." Madeleine read them, fear tangled with rage. In her room, she sat at her writing desk, candles ticking like the countdown of death. "You're insane," she whispered as she wrote back. "End this, Pierre. Stop threatening me. Return the letters." But Pierre wouldn't stop. He came to her window late at night, hidden in shadows. "Do you love me?" he asked, voice trembling beneath the rain. Madeleine leaned out, tears falling. "I do, but I cannot. Father forbids it. Society would never forgive." Pierre squeezed her hand through the iron bars. "Then run away with me, or I will expose everything." She pulled her hand away, slammed the window shut. Her heart-shattering. Victorian society tightened its cruel grip. Women like Madeleine had to be pure, silent, and obedient to arranged marriages. Love across class was a sin, a disgrace. Pierre, an immigrant laborer, knew his place. Yet blind love pushed him into madness. He dreamed of marrying her, rising above poverty. Madeleine, trapped between family honor and forbidden desire, began seeking a way out. A dark thought slithered in like a venomous snake. Madeleine secretly bought arsenic for the first time. February 1857, at Murdoch's shop on Sauchiehall Street, the doorbell chimed like a death knell. "Arsenic for cosmetic whitening," she said calmly, though her hand trembled beneath her cloak. Old Mr. Murdoch, the apothecary, wrote it down. M. H. Smith, 6d. Arsenica, lifeless white powder, common in cosmetics, and rat poison, yet deadly in high doses. Madeleine returned to her room and mixed it into a facial wash. The cold bite of the water crawling across her skin like poison seeping into her soul. She knew arsenic killed, slowly, with wrenching, pain-vomiting convulsions, a horrific death. A thought flickered. If Pierre were gone. She pushed it away, insisting it was only for beauty. Pierre fell ill for the first time. Late February, stomach cramps twisted him. He vomited through the night. In his Franklin Place room, he lay drenched in cold sweat, blaming spoiled food. Mrs. Jenkins, the landlady, brought him soup. "Are you unwell, Emile?" He smiled weakly. "Just tired, ma'am." But he wrote to Madeleine, "I am very sick. Do you worry for me?" She read the letter, pressing a trembling hand to her mouth, remembering the cocoa she had handed him through the window the week before. Cocoa she had mixed in her own room. Perhaps, no, surely just coincidence. She replied, "Rest, Pierre. Do not come to me any more." But suspicion grew in him as the pain worsened. Love twisted into doubt. The threats grew more violent. Pierre recovered enough to write, "Did you poison me? Or is it only my imagination? Answer me, or I will expose your letters." Madeleine panicked and purchased arsenic a second time, mid-March, at Curry's on Argyle Street. For vermin, she claimed, signing M.H. Smith. The white powder inside the paper pouch felt heavy as guilt. She returned home, hid it in her drawer beside old love letters. Her father became suspicious, inspecting her letter tray, ordering the servants to watch her. "No private letters," James thundered, eyes sharp as blades. Madeleine knelt. "Yes, father." But she secretly sent Pierre one last message. "Meet me once more, turn the letters." They met by the Clyde River on the stormy night of March 18th. Pierre stood beneath a soaked oak tree, his coat dripping. Madeleine arrived, her black cloak hiding her face, her heart pounding. "Give me the letters," she whispered, trembling. Pierre held the bundle out but tightened his grip. "Marry me, Madeleine. I love you madly." She shook her head. "I cannot. I am engaged to Minnock." His eyes flashed with hatred. "Then I will send your letters to him, to your father, to the press. You will be ruined forever." Madeleine wept. "Please, Pierre, don't." He turned away, the wind howling like mocking laughter, the letters stuffed into his coat. Tension peaked. Madeleine bought arsenic a third time, March 19th. "Cosmetic," she said coldly. Mr. Murdoch noted it without suspicion. She returned home and prepared cocoa late at night. A maid brought hot water. "Why so late, miss?" Madeleine smiled faintly, "Just thirsty." Pierre arrived at her window as if summoned. "Cocoa for you," she whispered, handing the cup through the bars. He sipped, tasting a strange bitterness, but swallowed anyway. "I love you," he said, eyes glistening. Madeleine turned away, her heart stone. "Goodbye." Pierre returned to his room, stomach pain tearing at him. He vomited through the night, writhing on his bed. Mrs. Jenkins heard his groans. "Shall I fetch a doctor?" He shook his head. "Tomorrow." But the agony intensified, burning his insides. On the morning of March 20th, he wrote his final letter. "Did you kill me? Arsenic, I know." He meant to send it, but was too weak to leave the house. Madeleine received it anyway, turned pale, whispered no, and burned the letter in the fireplace. On Sunday night, March 22nd, Pierre put on his coat, checked the final bundle of letters, and stepped into the dark street. "Come back early," Jenkins called after him. He replied with a sad smile, "Perhaps I won't." Down by the Clyde, torn between love and hatred, he vanished into the night. Whether he met Madeleine again that night, history cannot say, but somehow he drank something once more, cocoa from her, or a desperate act of self-destruction. Pierre returned home late, collapsed on his bed, and suffered unbearable agony. Clutching his chest and stomach, drenched in cold sweat, he whispered, "Madeleine," and died before dawn, morning of March 23rd. Jenkins knocked, "Coffee, a meal." No reply. She unlocked the door, and the stench of death. Pierre lay motionless, his face twisted in agony, his hands gripping his abdomen. She screamed and summoned Dr. Stephen. He examined the body. "Died last night. Suspected arsenic." Pierre's stomach held 82 grains of arsenica, lethal amount, enough to kill many. Police arrived, searched the room, and found the bundle of Madeleine's letters, love letters now, transformed into deadly evidence. The news spread like wildfire. At Blitheswood Square, James received word Pierre Emile Langelier is dead, suspected poisoning. He called Madeleine. "What do you know of this?" She replied calmly, "Nothing, father." But her eyes hid a shadow. The escalating tension had ended in death, opening the gates of a hellish investigation. Pierre died from arsenic. Madeleine was suspected of poisoning him through cocoa on several occasions. Love betrayed, honor threatened, a tragedy pushed to the edge of doom. And on this midnight, as the wind howls outside, we ask, was Madeleine a victim of society or a cold-blooded killer? Listen on, the secrets still whisper. Darkness of Edinburgh in 1857. As the autumn wind whispered its final verdict, the courtroom fell silent, cold, and still as a tomb. After 9 relentless days of fierce argument, with love letters read aloud like whispered curses and arsenic reports presented like instruments of death, the jury returned, their faces heavy with the weight of doubt, not proven. A verdict uniquely Scottish, neither innocent nor guilty, a haunting limbo suspended between truth and shadows. Madeleine Hamilton Smith, pale yet composed, was released that very evening. Outside the court, the crowd remained eerily quiet, no cheering, no outragingly, a low drifting murmur spreading like fog, thick with suspicion. That night, the family fled Glasgow. Madeleine shed her past like a discarded skin, took the name Lena Ward, and married a painter, George Ward. She lived in London, then New York, raised 2 children, and died in 1928 at the age of 92 without an obituary, slipping away like a ghost, dissolving into the night. The case lingers in history, a symbol of justice unresolved, where class, gender, and societal expectation blur the line between guilt and innocence. The arsenic in Pierre's stomach, the burning love letters, the cocoa passed through the window, each fragment still whispers, was Madeleine a wronged woman or a cold-blooded poisoner? And tonight